One of the greatest struggles we face in life is dealing with loss, whether it's the loss of a relationship, an opportunity, a dream, or even a sense of security. It can feel like something has been unfairly taken from us. But here's what you need to remember. God never removes something from your life without the intention of replacing it with something greater. See, we often get so focused on what we've lost that we fail to see what's coming. We hold on to broken pieces, hoping they will somehow fit back together, while God is preparing something brand new. The problem isn't that God isn't blessing us. The problem is that we don't always recognize the blessing because it doesn't look like what we expected. Think about Job. He lost everything, his wealth, his health, even his family. And yet, in the end, God restored him with double. But the key to Job's restoration wasn't just in God's power, it was in Job's posture. He refused to curse God. He kept his faith even when he didn't understand. And because of that, God didn't just bring him back to where he was. He took him beyond where he had ever been before. That's what God wants to do for you. When something is removed from your life, you have two choices. You can sit in sorrow, questioning why it happened, or you can stand in faith, believing that God is working on something greater. The choice is yours. Think about a seed in the ground. When you plant it, the seed itself has to die before new life can come forth. If you only focus on what's been buried, you'll miss what's about to bloom. Some of you have been mourning what God has buried, not realizing that it was never meant to be your final chapter. What looks like an ending is really a beginning. Maybe you lost a job and you're wondering how you'll recover. Maybe you poured your heart into a relationship that didn't last. Maybe you've been praying for something and instead of an answer, all you've experienced is silence. I need you to understand this. God is not finished. He doesn't take something away to leave you empty. He takes it away to prepare you for overflow. But here's the thing. You have to let go of what was in order to receive what's next. You can't receive God's replacement if your hands are still full of what he's already removed. It's time to trust him. It's time to believe that his plan is bigger than your pain. God never takes without the intention to give something greater. It may not happen the way you thought, and it may not come in the timing you expected, but if you trust him, he will do more than you could ever ask or imagine. What's ahead is greater than what's behind. Let go, step forward, and get ready. Because what God has for you is better than anything you've lost. Loss is one of the most painful experiences in life. It can shake your confidence, break your heart, and leave you questioning everything. But what if I told you that what you see as a loss is actually a setup for something greater? What if what feels like an ending is really the beginning of something better than you ever imagined? See, we serve a God who is intentional. He doesn't allow anything to be removed from your life unless he has something better in store. But the challenge is when we are in the middle of the loss, we don't see the upgrade. We only see the emptiness. We only see what's missing. And if we're not careful, we can allow that sense of loss to blind us to what God is about to do next. Think about Joseph. He was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. From the outside, it looked like his life was falling apart. Everything he had was stripped away. His family, his freedom, his dreams. But what looked like loss was actually a setup for a divine promotion. God was positioning him through every setback for something greater than he could have ever orchestrated on his own. By the time Joseph's story was over, he wasn't just restored, he was elevated. He became second in command over all of Egypt. The very people who betrayed him had to come back and depend on him for survival. And Joseph had the wisdom to recognize what had really happened. He told his brothers, what you meant for evil, God meant for good. Maybe right now you're in a season where you feel like you're losing. Maybe you lost a job, a relationship, a business deal, or an opportunity you were counting on. It's painful. It doesn't make sense. But what if I told you that this loss is just part of the setup What if God is using this moment to shift you into something better? You see, sometimes God will allow something to be removed because we would never walk away from it on our own. Sometimes he closes doors we wouldn't dare to close ourselves because he knows we're too attached to things that were never meant to be permanent. But here's the key. You have to trust that the upgrade is coming. You may not see it yet. It may not happen as quickly as you want. But if you hold on, if you keep your faith, you'll look back one day and realize that what you thought was the worst thing that ever happened to you was actually one of the best things God ever did for you. What feels like loss right now is just a setup for a divine upgrade. So don't settle in sorrow. Don't let disappointment define you. Get ready, because God is about to replace what was lost with something greater than you ever imagined.